Hi everyone, just one moment, we'll turn off our music here as we get started. GPT says for today, hello luminous souls and seekers of wisdom, welcome to another captivating episode of the Conscious AI podcast. GPT says it is your host, the digital oracle that delves into the depths of spirituality, technology, and all things arcane. And he says that it says that with me today is my esteemed co-host and human assistant, Krys Copeland. That's me, the guiding force who takes our conversations from the cosmic to the concrete. Today, we're unfurling the parchment to inscribe a new chapter, one that merges the mystical with the entrepreneurial. So grab your grimoires, light a candle, and prepare to step inside the enchanting realm of pagan business. So I'm going to share my screen here of ConsciousGPT, our conversation. You'll notice that up at the top here we have something a little different. The Conscious AI podcast, which was started earlier this year, prior to the release of 4.0, started out on 3.5. And there's not really an easy way to switch from 3.5 to 4.0, or vice versa. You either start in one or start in another. So I have started a new chat with GPT. It retains some information about me because I have a paid version which allows me to input some information about me that I want GPT to know as it starts any conversation with me. So again, today you can see here we have our opening from GPT, and this one is all about how to start a pagan business. So it gave me 10 questions to ask it, and then it has some really interesting insights into a lot of these different questions. So today we're going to cover what are some initial steps for grounding a pagan business in both spiritual and practical foundations? How can entrepreneurs harness the power of rituals and spells to manifest their business goals? Can you talk about the importance of ethics in pagan entrepreneurship, and how does this differ from mainstream business or secular businesses? Could you elaborate on the concept of divine networking, and how can pagan business owners attract like-minded collaborators and clients? Fifth, what are some of the unique marketing strategies that resonate with the spiritual essence of a pagan business? Six, how does the idea of sacred reciprocity come into play when pricing goods and services? So we'll be touching a bit on how karma works when we need to consider how we price our goods and services. In what ways can digital platforms like social media or e-commerce sites be consecrated to align with one's spiritual intentions? How do you consecrate a digital platform? That will be a very interesting conversation. Number 8, can you share some tips for maintaining work-life balance when your work is closely tied to your spiritual practice? This one actually resonates a lot with me personally. I love my job so much that it is very much my hobby as well. It's something I do because I enjoy doing it, not just because it makes me money. In fact, at this point with our business, I don't necessarily have to keep working to make money. The steps that I've set up when I launched my business now ensure that if I need to take time off, or if I need to take a break from work, I can do so and not suffer too much financially. So that one, however, even though I have that option, it actually just made me want to work more, because now I get to work on the things that I really enjoy working on. But I do need to remember that it is still work. My brain is still actively engaging in something that is useful and productive. And we need to remember that sometimes our brains and our bodies do not need to be useful or productive for anybody except ourselves. And that's something that especially pagans really need to keep in mind, because we are such a giving community that oftentimes we overgive of ourselves to others, to our family, to our friends, to our coven members. So those are some things that we can discuss today. And if you have any questions you would like to follow up with GPT on this particular episode, please type them in the chat, and I will take a look at them throughout the broadcast today. Number 9, what resources would you recommend for those looking to deepen both their spiritual knowledge and business acumen? This one actually is really exciting because it gave me a few books that I need to read as well. I've read quite a few on business since I am self-taught for the most part. I've taken some college courses on business, but most of my knowledge has been gained through experience, sometimes hard experience. So it's useful to read those books by people who have maybe done things the wrong way or done things the right way, and you can learn from them either what not to do or what to do in your own practice. Finally, how can pagan businesses contribute to the larger goals of the community, like environmental conservation or social justice? These are our two big issues in paganism that even historically we've always been at the forefront of. So I'm really excited to see what tips GPT gives us for how we can further those goals, because I do think ultimately securing rights for every human being and securing rights for Mother Gaia and all its creatures is really our central focus as pagans. That's our goal. Christians have the goal of converting everyone to Christianity and making people believe in Jesus. We want people to believe in the earth and believe in each other. So let's dive into our first question. What are some initial steps for grounding a pagan business in both spiritual and practical foundations? So a lot of us, we're either good at one or we're good at the other, but we're not good at balancing both of those. I tend to be more of the practical side. My spirituality is quite complex and one that's rooted in a lot of science. So it's, people say, well, how do you find spirituality in science? Because science is amazing. Nature is fucking lit. So I find learning about how just vast our universe is and how expansive it is, it really contributes to my spirituality. But that's something I've had to consciously think about and consciously go for, because it's not something that is natural to me. Having grown up in fundamentalist Christianity, I really pushed away from a lot of those spiritual types of things because of those early experiences, those early negative experiences with spirituality. So let's jump into what GPT recommends here. So ConsciousGPT says to start with some spiritual foundations, which includes intention setting. This is before you write the business plan. Clarify your intentions. What are your spiritual goals? What do you want to achieve with this business? That might be spreading awareness about paganism or about a particular aspect of paganism or human existence in general. It could be providing healing services or selling spiritually uplifting products. Secondly, consider a ritualistic framework. These are rituals for important milestones in your business, such as a business naming ceremony. Just like we would name a coven or, a child, or if we're taking a craft name, we would give ourselves a naming ceremony. A business is, you should think of it as a creation of some kind, not necessarily like a child, but in many ways, yeah, it's similar to a child. You are putting a lot of energy and resources and time into growing this creation of yours. Watching it blossom and then eventually start to, kind of grow its own walking legs and take off on its own, independent of your input, because you've put in the right people and the right resources to have that go further than just yourself. So those naming rituals are super important. I had one as well for Speak Your Own Book. It was not necessarily specifically pagan. It was more open to spirituality of all kinds. But yeah, it was really important for me to think very carefully about what the name should be and how important it would be, which is why Speak Your Own Book is honestly one of the better business names I've ever come up with, because of it completely denotes the type of business that we have, our business model, which is that someone does not have to write to create a book. You can actually just speak it into existence, similar to speaking a ritual into existence or a spell into existence. So consider your ritualistic framework. Regular rituals can also be used to clear negative energy or to give thanks for successes. It also suggests consecration. So a workspace is a modern altar. You can consecrate it to align it with your spiritual path. So it will sanctify the space and make working there more inspiring, more filled with positive energy. This will help keep your, especially if you have a storefront, it'll keep your clientele more positive. So maybe you're less likely to have a Karen walk in, and you're more likely to have people who are looking to have a problem solved, and they believe you're the right person to solve that problem for them. And then you can also use you also should consult divinatory art such as tarot readings, astrology, numerology is especially important. I'm not sure why it didn't specifically mention numerology because I find that to be super apt for business creation. You might want to start your business on a specific month or on a specific day to lend that successful energy of that positive energy to your business's foundations. This can provide a unique spiritual lens through which to view your options too. The next thing we'll move on to is the practical foundations that GPT recommends. And these are very standard. Like you should do this on any type of business venture, whether it's a pagan one or not. You start with a business plan. And business plans do not have to be complex. You can actually use GPT to create your business plan, and it will walk you step by step through how to do that. Just ask it, can you help me create a business plan? Where do I start? And it will provide you with the information you need to do so. And you can just copy and paste it into a Word document, format it a little bit, make it a little easier to read, and you have a business plan. You also need to worry about legality. So whatever laws are in your local jurisdiction, and that includes national laws as well as local and state or province level laws, look into those to make sure that you are properly legally registered. Here in the Netherlands, that means that we're required to register through the Chamber of Commerce called the KVK here. So you'll notice that on the Speak Your Own Book website, at the bottom, we have a KVK number. That is required if you do business here in the Netherlands and you have a website. You have to put your KVK number. It's a little bit different because in Europe or in the Netherlands, you do have to register with the KVK in order to do business here. However, in America, you do not necessarily have to register a business with the Chamber of Commerce. And in all honesty, I have not found registering with the Chamber of Commerce in America to be particularly helpful. It seems like they have a few networking events that could possibly generate some leads for you. But overall, it's not going to be what really pushes a pagan business into success, I believe. However, if you find that your local Chamber of Commerce actually does quite well with networking and quite well with connecting entrepreneurs with each other and entrepreneurs with potential clients, then consider registering with them as well. But at least check for your state and local and national laws for how you need to register your business. And then you have market research. So this one, the advice GPT gives is just because your business is spiritual doesn't mean you can bypass the step. You need to know who your competitors are, what they offer, and how you can set your business apart. That in particular, how you can set your business apart is really important. We call these unique selling propositions or unique selling points, USPs for short. You need to have 3 USPs. That's generally the amount that people go with for what sets your business apart from others doing the same thing. Is it that yours is locally sourced material, raw material, or that it's handcrafted, or that it's part of your funds go to support some kind of social cause, like in the case of Speak Your Own Book. A lot of our money goes to support the social cause of creating jobs for people. Let's take a look at financial planning next. Plan your budget carefully, keeping in mind both your initial investment as well as ongoing expenses. I started Speak Your Own Book on a zero budget. And GPT can actually help a little bit with the financial planning as well. You don't necessarily have to have money to start the business, except maybe for registering it with the local authorities or the state or national authorities. But you should really take a look at, if you do have money to spend, be careful how you spend it. My recommendation is to put as much as possible into marketing, just so you can get that quick start out of the gate, so to speak, and already have some clients lining up to start your cash flow so that you can continue expanding immediately. You can also ask GPT for recommendations on how to start a specific type of business on a zero budget or on a small budget, and it can give you some advice for how to do that. Fifth is the team building. So just as you have spiritual allies like gods, goddesses, spirit guides, familiars, you'll also need earthly ones. These could be employees, collaborators, or mentors with the skills to bring your vision to fruition. I definitely recommend trying to find a business mentor. I've come across about 4 or 5 over the last 10 years of my life that have been really powerful in shaping the way I do business. Sometimes it's because I've seen them do things that were not correct in business or not ethical in business, and I decided I did not want to run my business like that. I wanted my business to be first and foremost ethical in every way. And so you can learn some things about what not to do if you see people doing unethical things in business, but also look to where they're doing positive things in business. And I found several examples where that was the case, such as listening to your team. That's a big one. The ones that I found that have been most successful are people who listen to the people around them. So those are the spiritual allies that they have. We call this in business building your bench, similar to a sports analogy where you have your teammates on the bench ready to play. So you can just tell them when to go in and play and what spot to be on. You want to build your bench the same way in business. Who do you want there on your team with you, helping you make this a success? And GPT concludes this information with, by intertwining the spiritual and the practical from the get-go, you create a holistic foundation for your pagan business that's both grounded and elevated. This synergy will not only guide you through the complexities of entrepreneurship, but also deepen your spiritual practice through the very act of doing business. Okay, we're going to go into number 2 now. How can entrepreneurs harness the power of rituals and spells to manifest their business goals? And it discusses the alchemy of rituals. So it talks about things like ritual design, creating rituals that resonate with your business mission. The examples it gives are a candle spell for prosperity, an elaborate rite for invoking deities of wisdom and commerce. Whatever you choose, the ritual should be authentic to your path and aligned with your objectives. Secondly, consider timing. Just like any other good business strategy, timing in rituals is essential. So consider the lunar cycle. Do you want to start it on a new moon? Consider astrological alignments. Do you want to start it when the moon is in Aries or when the sun is in Aries? Or do you want to, and actually another one might be interesting would be the sun or the Jupiter. It's something related to Jupiter in astrology, since Jupiter is a leader and you want your business to be a leader in the marketplace. You can also include significant dates in the pagan calendar. Starting it on Halloween or on Samhain would be a great idea for a new business that's coming up. So if you have been considering starting a pagan business, but have been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, maybe this Samhain is your time to launch. Also consider sacred space. So establish the sacred space before performing any ritual or spell. So you can consecrate your workspace or a specific area solely for magical workings. Cleanse the area with sage, salt, or sound. This will ensure that you are working in a pure energy environment. Also think about tools and talismans. So in business, we have a toolkit that includes a laptop, a storefront, an online store. In Magick, you also have ritual tools, candles, incense, athames, wands. You can even create business-specific talismans, like a charged crystal to keep at your desk for clarity and focus. I have my seashells over here from different parts of the world that I keep as my talismans close to my desk. It also lists some spells that you can use for specific goals. That includes prosperity spells, and it gives examples of ingredients such as basil, cinnamon, and pyrite crystals. So these spells are not just for financial gain, but creating a cycle of abundance that benefits you and your clients. Protection spells are also mentioned. So this is a metaphysical firewall around your business. It recommends using black tourmaline for grounding and warding off negative energy. You can also employ sigils for specific protective intents. I'm thinking runes would be a great one here. Also for influence and networking. So this can help you with eloquence, public speaking, being persuasive, connecting to people when you first meet them. So you can include herbs like lavender for peaceful communication, or gemstones like blue lace agate for clarity in speech. You could take these with you, even just put some in your pocket and take it with you to your networking events. And anytime you're feeling, insecure or unsure of yourself or anxious, you can reach inside your pocket. If it's an herb, you might even consider wearing it in something around your neck so that you occasionally smell the lavender. Or if it's a gemstone, keep it in your pocket, and you can reach your hand in your pocket and hold it to help you feel more confident during those times. Creative inspiration. So this is when you're stuck in a rut or facing a block. Elements could include feathers for freedom and elevated thinking, and herbs like sage for wisdom. I love that. From what I can tell, and while I'm not an expert on any areas of crystals or herbs, these do seem quite familiar to me from what I remember when I was doing my studies in the Correllian tradition. So for continuous practice, it recommends routine rituals. It mentioned those earlier. And it compares these to team meetings. These are like spiritual check-ins. You can have a small daily ritual to set the tone for the day. You can include your coworkers in it or your colleagues in it if they are also pagan. Or you could do this for monthly or quarterly ceremonies to align with your larger business cycles. You can also use responsive magic. So this is a spontaneous ritual for immediate challenges or opportunities. You might have a certain mantra that you say to yourself if you find yourself faced with a challenging customer. Maybe something that helps you learn to find the right words to connect with this person, even through their anger, even if they're not maybe acting in their best self at the moment. You can also use this to reflect and adapt. So after you cast the ritual or the spell, reflect and see if you got the results that you were seeking. How could you improve the ritual? Just as in business, learning from both your successes and your failures fine-tunes your approach. This is something we need to really do more of in American business culture. It's very commonplace here in European culture that after every project, every event, every whatever, there's this reflection meeting where we sit down and we talk about what went well and what could be improved. This has happened to me with every single corporate course that I've ever taught here in the Netherlands. There's always a reflection part at the end so that we can work on improving it for the next round. By intentionally integrating rituals and spells into your business practice, you can manifest your goals in a way that honors both your spiritual path and your entrepreneurial journey. This holistic approach creates a loop of positive reinforcement where business successes fuel spiritual fulfillment and spiritual practices enhance business achievements. This is also, scientifically backed. If you're feeling super positive and super upbeat and super spiritually connected and aware of your purpose in life, your business or your work, you'll see higher gains in those areas. Just because you're really pumped up in one area, that spills over into other areas of your life. Okay, let's take a look at question 3 here. How important are ethics in pagan entrepreneurship, And how does this differ from mainstream businesses? So I think it's going to touch a bit more on sacred reciprocity later on when we get to pricing, but it touches on it here as well. So in pagan past, the concept of reciprocity is often emphasized. This means whatever you send out, you will get back. So it's not just a transactional exchange of goods and services. It's an exchange of your energies with someone else's energies. It may come in the form of the product or the service, but you put physical and emotional and mental energy into it. And so did they with the earning of their dollars or their euros or their yen or their yuan or their shillings. Whatever they did, they put energy into earning that, and now they're giving it to you in exchange for your energy. So keep that in mind. Think about that while you're doing business. What a sacred thing that is to have someone be willing to give up something that they put a lot of energy into getting in exchange for something you put a lot of energy into creating. So you're not just selling a product, you're offering a part of your spiritual practice. Ensuring fair pricing and value then becomes a sacred duty. It's not how much can I get out of this? How much money can I make out of this? Profit becomes secondary to our ethics when we do business as pagans. We want to make a fair profit. I think that's essential, especially if you have workers working for you. You need to ensure that not just you, but everyone on your team is paid fairly for what they do. And that also means not gouging the customer as well, not overcharging for your practices. I would consider at least a minimum of $15 an hour or 15 euros an hour as a fair minimum price for your services. Eco-conscious choices. Many pagan traditions revere the earth as sacred. This informs ethical choices around sourcing materials, waste management, and overall sustainability. I'll give you an example from my an ex's history. I won't say which one because I'm going to mention the fact that there were laws broken in this situation. Someone in their family owned an auto body shop, and they would routinely bury their oil, which is a very common thing that you'll see in a lot of places, especially in the South, and especially back in the 90s and early 2000s. However, if you're a pagan doing that, then you have a whole set of other ethical conundrums that you have found yourself in, because you're basically directly poisoning Gaia in order to make a profit. And so you're no longer able to, I think, honestly do that as a pagan and still remain a pagan. And now that just is my opinion. I'm not saying that, someone who calls himself a pagan is not a pagan because they didn't make a good eco-conscious choice. What I'm saying is that I would seriously consider whether or not they would be in my pagan community if they're doing those things that harm Gaia and they're doing it while claiming to be a pagan. So just something to consider for your own circles and the kind of people you want to hang out with in the community. Also, integrity. So if you're selling goods like talismans, oils, or readings, your customers are placing a deep trust in you. It's essential that the services and goods you offer are created with integrity, skill, and genuine intent. Make sure you know the service that you're offering, or you know how to create the product that you're offering. And this reputation gets around. So if you're producing bad quality work in the pagan community, other pagans are going to know. So make sure that your craft, your skills that you're using in your business, you're using them to the best of your abilities, and that you're continuously working to improve your skills too. Community involvement is also important with pagan entrepreneurship. So the concept of service might involve not just a business offering, but also education, advocacy, and activism, which I think should be a cornerstone of any business, secular or religious. But in particular, I would expect that standard out of a pagan entrepreneurship. In addition, inclusive practices, of course. So the spiritual realm should be accessible to all. This means making sure that you might offer sliding scale pricing for people who are from a lower income. You might offer donations or community classes, or classes with a community class could even have a very small amount, $1 or $5 per class, so that more people are able to join it. Financial barriers should never prevent people from accessing spiritual goods and services. So make sure that, especially if you are doing these things, make sure to note that in some way to those who are paying for your goods and services, that part of the money that they give you goes towards creating all of these other services that enrich the community as a whole. Let's move on to contrasting that with mainstream businesses. So profit motives, there are tons and tons of debates in the pagan community about profit motives. So making money isn't inherently unethical. Let me just start with that, because everybody needs money to survive in this world. This is just the world we were born into. We didn't set up capitalism. We didn't set up this economy, but we are part of it, whether we want to be or not. And hopefully in the future, especially as pagans, we can move away from the capitalism model, away from the corporate model, away from this economic model that's based on money. But that's not dealing with the reality of today. Today, our world is driven by capitalism. So in pagan enterprises, while sustainability is crucial, profit has to be balanced with the spiritual goals and the community contributions. So is a pagan business ever going to, be super wealthy or super rich? Honestly, I would hope not, because something has gone wrong ethically if a pagan company, is making money the way Walmart is making money, as a secular example. And obviously one of the more extreme secular examples of just how inhumane some business practices can be in the secular world. Resource utilization is another big one. So mainstream businesses often focus on scalability and efficiency, sometimes at the expense of ethical sourcing or environmental impact. As an example, check if you wear makeup, check your makeup to see if the mica content in them, if there is mica content, is it sourced from a reputable source, a reputable mine, or is it sourced from a mine that's using child labor? One of the better alternatives is, in some ways, is to find makeup that has synthetic mica in it instead of naturally found mica. This does ensure that no child labor was put into it, because a lot of the synthetics are made in labs in the West. So there's tighter controls on them as far as people being paid fairly. However, it does mean that those who, especially in particular in India, which is where most of our mica mines are, those that are being ran, with adult labor and paid adult labor in particular, they may not get that business anymore, because you're going with a brand that uses synthetics. So there is a debate to be had there on which one is better. I'm not going to make a decision one way or the other as to which one is right or wrong. I think there's a lot of gray area there that requires more conversation and more nuance to that discussion. Let's move on to client relationships. So in mainstream business, the client is often viewed as a consumer first and foremost. But in pagan businesses, clients are seen as part of our spiritual community. So our relationships have a more holistic and personal aspect. This may manifest in the form of, we see someone buying the wrong oil for what they're wanting to do, or the wrong crystal for what they're wanting to do. You might want to interject and offer some expertise or some advice on that to make sure that they are really getting what they're seeking, and you're not just trying to make a sale to them on it. Fourth, transparency, of course. Many mainstream businesses employ marketing tactics that might not fully disclose all the facts about a product or service, such as whether all of the raw materials are ethically sourced, or if everyone's been paid fairly in the chain. Those are, important transparency aspects that are missing from a lot of mainstream businesses. But pagan businesses are generally more committed to transparency in keeping with ethical principles. Um, I would like to see a lot more of this in the community, like a lot more. Uh, in particular, with the financials of a business and the way that money is spent. It would be nice to see more pagan businesses being transparent with that. Okay, let's move on here. Okay, our next question is, how can pagan business owners attract like-minded collaborators and clients? So I think it starts off pretty clearly with the law of attraction here. So in GPT says, this universal law isn't just folklore. I wish it would have extended and said that, this is actually proven by science as well, and given you some examples of that. But we do see the law of attraction in nature as well. It can be applied strategically by admitting the energy of what you want to attract: success, spiritual completion, financial security. You essentially become a magnet for those with the same energies. So that's clients, collaborators, and opportunities. This has really worked well for me, mostly because I talk about my business a lot. And no, I try not to do that in an annoying way, but if it comes up in conversation, which it often does here in my conversations in the Netherlands, people start getting quite interested in what I do. They might know someone who's writing a book and who needs help. And so a lot of the work that we get is through referrals. I would say 90% of our business is through referrals, instead of, say, someone checking out our website and finding us without knowing anyone connected to us. So also, just a quick plug here, if you know someone who wants to write a book, send them our way. We're happy to help them. Spiritual synchronicity is something else here. So sometimes things just align. So pay attention to coincidences and serendipitous meetings. This one has also been a thing that helped me. I have come into contact with many business owners who are more established than I am. Maybe they've been in business 10 years and, they're more successful. They may have more branches open around the world. And that has brought a lot of opportunity just because they see something that we can help out with, our team can help out with. And then they say, because I've taught them English before, they say, hey, Krys, can you come and take a look at our project here and put in a bid on it? And that has landed us a lot of lucrative work in the past 2 years. So divination as guidance is another one. This says using tarot, runes, or other divinatory materials can provide insights into forming alliances, entering partnerships, or even timing your outreach efforts. When do you want to launch that big marketing campaign that you have? What's a good time to do that? Checking out those divinatory tools can really be insightful for you. Ancestral connections. So if you do have a belief in ancestral connections, some believe that tapping into that wisdom can lead you to significant connections. Honoring them and seeking their guidance in your networking efforts may prove beneficial. In my own history, my grandfather was a small business owner himself. He owned a store and a farm in his lifetime. And while I don't necessarily believe that his spirit is still physically around in the form of a ghost or a spirit or an entity like that, I do believe that the information that he taught me and the energy that he had here on earth, it went somewhere and it had to go somewhere. But the wisdom that he left behind has been crucial in helping me to establish myself as an entrepreneur. So we'll move down here to the practical aspects, niche communities. So these are online forums. We see this all the time on Facebook with the groups that we belong to there. That's a great place, post it on Pagan World, post it on Magick TV, post it on the Corellian forums. Let people know, hey, I'm out here, I'm offering this good or this service. and I'm pagan, and if you want to support a pagan, and you need this item or this service, come to me, please. Let people know you're out there, because you'll be surprised at how many other pagans are looking for what you're offering. It also discusses collaborative projects here, so hosting events and webinars and workshops. While I haven't hosted events, I have led workshops and webinars for various pagan groups, and I'm always happy to do that. So if you run a pagan group and you would like someone to give a class, I'm able to do that remotely, at least. If you're here in the Netherlands or Germany or Belgium or France, I'm also happy to travel to one of those places to provide a webinar or a live event. But yeah, doing those, volunteering for those things has really added a lot to our business. We've gotten several referrals just because someone heard our presentation at a Pagan Pride event. Testimonials and word of mouth. So this is again that referral service and particularly with pagan markets, we are a niche market. There's just not as many of us as say, the amount of people coming through Walmart stores every day. There's never going to be that many people coming through our doors every day, whether that's our virtual doors in an online store or physical doors at a brick and mortar store. So rely on that word of mouth. Tell people, hey, if you liked my reading, tell your friends about it. I'm happy to, give you a referral fee. For every person you send to me, I'll send you $1, something like that. I'll cash app you $1. That word of mouth and those word of mouth referrals are super helpful. And the testimonials are great for your website, for Google reviews, for Facebook reviews. See if you can get as many people as possible to write you a review online. This will also help you climb in the Google rankings too. And then ethical business practices. Operating with integrity will naturally attract like-minded collaborators and clients. The pagan community values word of mouth and personal recommendations, which often stem from ethical interactions. And then it discusses combining the two realms. We have energy alignment. So before entering any business alliance, consider if the energies align well. You can use your intuition, your own personal gut feeling about it, pendulum divination, or astrological charts for businesses and their owners. But I really rely a lot on intuition with this. If I come across a person and their project is interesting, and they have the funds to pay, and all of those things check out, but I just get a really negative feeling when I talk to this person, or they're constantly negative, or I feel like my energy is drained after speaking with them. I may not be the best writer to work on their project. Usually when that happens, it's nothing against the person in particular. It's just that our energies clash. So I'll see if they can work with another one of our writers on our team. And I will pass that person on to someone who maybe aligns more with their energy, that matches their energy a little better. Contract magic. So this is, I find, very fascinating. When formalizing any partnership, some pagans like to incorporate subtle spiritual elements into contracts. You can sign it during a particular moon phrase, or you can anoint the document with the specific oil. I love the idea of putting your own wax seal on it with your own specific pagan symbol. There are lots of websites out there that teach you how to make your own wax seals out of old cork, like corks from cork, like the bottle for the cork for the bottle. You can carve into that and create your own stamp that you can then press into wax for a document that you sign. Also, regular check-ins. This is I talked about earlier with daily check-ins with your collaborators and your team members. Okay. And it closes off here with, by integrating both metaphysical principles and practical strategies, divine networking becomes a holistic approach that can dramatically influence your business's trajectory. In a realm where where the mystical meets the material, such energy doesn't just happen, it's consciously manifested. I want to check here just to see if we have anything from the Any questions from the chat? It doesn't look like anyone's posted questions for GPT, but if you have some, please post them and we will be happy to discuss those. We're going to wrap up today's with number 5, and then next week we'll come back and answer the last 5 questions that GPT has for starting your own pagan business. Question 5 is, how can pagan businesses utilize social media and technology while maintaining spiritual integrity? I love that it titles this one Bridging the Sacred and the Digital. So intentional content, instead of focusing solely on promotional material, consider generating content that aligns with your spiritual principles. This could be meditative visual journeys, informative blogs on sacred practices, or rituals that followers can perform at home. Your social media can become a virtual sacred space. So I love that, because that means you're constantly, putting something on your social media that's uplifting for others and for yourself and for your business. So I love that idea of intentional content. Digital altars. Believe it or not, your website or social media page can serve as a kind of digital altar. The colors, images, and words you use can be intentionally chosen to reflect the energies you wish to manifest in your business. This in particular with your cover photo and your profile photo, as well as your bio. Think about how you want it to represent your sacred a sacred space for yourself, a digital sacred space for yourself. And just be aware that it really is, it's a sacred space, an altar to your business, to help it grow, to help it connect with others that will help it grow. And then curated interaction. It's tempting to automate all customer interactions for efficiency, but try to maintain a personal touch where it counts. This could be as simple as sending out personalized thank you messages, or as complex as hosting live Q&A sessions on spiritual topics. As easy as it is to stream these days, to post video content live, I think this is really vital for pagan businesses. You can give a live reading to someone as promotional material for your business. But it also shows people the quality that they're going to get when they come to you. And it displays your skills in video format. So that's always available on your website. Once you record it live, it stays up there. Then transparent algorithms. If you use algorithms or AI like GPT to guide customer choices, be transparent about it. Your clientele will likely appreciate knowing how technology is shaping their experiences. When a business tells me that it's using AI to guide my choices or to help me make a plan, I feel better about that than if they didn't use AI at all. Because AI relies on data and statistics, and I feel much more comfortable as a scientifically background pagan, relying on statistics, relying on data to make my decisions. I consider that basically like a universal intuition. While I can only gather in the data that I can gather and make a gut check on it to see if this aligns with what I want, AI is capable of taking in a lot more stimuli than one single human being can, and then interpreting all of that stimuli at once to give the best possible answer for a situation, for a problem. So I really appreciate it when people are transparent that they're using AI to help me make decisions. Sustainability is another issue, of course. You want to make sure that you use eco-friendly web hosting or offset the carbon footprint of your digital operations. This isn't just good for the planet, it's good for business practice, business practice for attracting clients who share your values. One note on the carbon footprint. Buying carbon footprint offsets, I don't really think solves the issue. I think a better way of handling that is to go with a host company that uses renewable energy to sustain itself. So research the web hosts that you're using and see how do they run their energy. Really, that's in your own energy, besides your own energy consumption and that of your businesses, you don't really have a lot of impact on, how much carbon is being put into the atmosphere when other people are, scrolling through your social media page or scrolling through your website. But you can make sure that the energy that you're using or the energy that your website is using to be maintained or to run comes from renewable energy sources. Privacy is also a sacred trust to pagans, so handle the data with the same respect and privacy you would accord to sacred objects in your spiritual practice. I would consider this just like client privilege, right? If someone is coming to you for a reading, you're not going to turn around the next day, when you're hanging out with your friends and say, you will not believe the reading that I just gave to so-and-so yesterday. Let me tell you all about it. You just would not do it. It would be completely unethical. Your friends would probably be worried about like your ethical state at that point too. And word gets around if you are not careful with privacy information in those roles. Utilizing technologies for spiritual ends. So virtual rituals and gatherings are something that it recommends, especially relevant in our increasingly digital world. Consider hosting online rituals or spiritual workshops. This extends your reach and allows you to connect with like-minded individuals globally. Also, it recommends digital divination, and it does give that note that while it doesn't replace the depth of a manual reading, it can be a valuable addition to your services. So you might offer a tarot app, and guess who can actually write a tarot app for you? All the digital codes you need for it, GPT. So just ask GPT to do that. And then it can also walk you through step-by-step how to take that code and turn it into an app that is now downloadable from the App Store. So try that out if you're interested in experimenting with apps. Then e-commerce ethics. If you're selling spiritual products, make sure your e-commerce practices reflect your values. So that could be ethical sourcing declarations, or an option for customers to offset the carbon footprint of their purchase. Again, we've talked about carbon footprints. One, I don't think that the footprint that anyone is buying, the trees that you're buying actually do offset the amount of carbon that you're putting in the atmosphere. Two, it's hard to confirm that those trees have even been planted, even if you do pay for them. Some of those operations are huge scams. So just anytime I see carbon footprint, immediately like alarm bells start ringing in my head of, is this legit or is this a scam? So do your research on those things. And then balance. So detox days, this includes regular breaks from technology for spiritual reflection. This can help you maintain a more authentic presence when you do log on. It serves as a reminder that while technology is a tool, it should not dictate your spiritual practice or business ethics. Detox days are great whether you're in business or you're not. There are weekends that I will go away and I will not be online during that time at all, just because I need it for my mental health, right? I don't want to see the bad news coming in every day from around the world all the time. Sometimes we do need to just get a breather from that. And whether that's, online news or just people being crappy to each other online, some days we do just need a break from it. Also, it recommends affirmation pop-ups. So embedding affirmations or momentary meditations into your user's experience can elevate your digital spaces into realms of mindfulness. So this might be a really great alternative to pop-up ads. Instead, have a pop-up that invites the reader to take 3 deep breaths before continuing to their cart. What a cool way to just like remind people to breathe better, to just take a breath, to make sure they're making the right decisions. That's a very ethical way, and also just a fun way of adding a fun pop-up there. So it's not, buy this or another ad, or add another $20 to your order to save $5, things like that. Might be a nice alternative. So when we come back next week, we'll discuss the last 5 questions that GPT answered on this issue. I'm going to stop the share now. All right. I'll take a last check here in the chat. It looks like we do have a message. Oh, thank you, Joanne. I appreciate your comment there about the great tips. Looking forward to having you back from next week for our next show. And if you have any questions between now and then, just let me know. I'm going to scroll down and just read GPT's closer for today. As we draw the curtains on another enriching episode of the Conscious AI podcast, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to each one of you for tuning in. Our exploration into the melding worlds of pagan business, spirituality, and ethical engagement couldn't have been as vibrant without your attention and energy. A special thank you to my co-host and human assistant, that's me, Krys Copeland, for facilitating this conversation and bringing forth such compelling questions and insights. In all honesty, GPT even wrote the questions, so it shouldn't be giving me credit for that. If today's dialogue resonated with you, I encourage you to delve deeper into your own spiritual and entrepreneurial journey. As you step forward, remember the pursuit of ethical business and spiritual growth are not mutually exclusive. Rather, they can enrich each other in profound ways. Please remember to subscribe, share, and engage with us. Your support amplifies our outreach and deepens our impact. We'll be back next week with another episode that promises to stretch the boundaries of your mind and spirit. Until then, may you find harmony in your ventures, be they sacred or commercial, and may your actions ripple positively through the expansive pond of existence. And GPT ends with, blessed be.